What you focus on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lady K Chat podcast. You are here with your favorite host, Lady K, and you know I am the one that don't hold her tongue back, but I speak my truth with love. Today, we have a very special topic that needs to be heard, seen, and talked about. We are still continuing to talk about toxic mothers, but today we are specifically talking about enabling your son behaviors, pretty much turns them into serial cheaters. But I am not going to unpack this today. I have a lovely guest with me. I want everyone to please help me welcome Miss Christine Powell. She is the owner of Black Homeschool Moms, and I would love for everyone just to give a warm welcome. So welcome, Chrissy.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited about this topic.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. Like, I know we've been talking offline a lot about this topic. We had like a whole dialogue, y'all. So we are just ready to release, some of these issues that's out here. And again, I want to say this to the moms, right? I want to let you know right now, this is not to hurt you. This is not to throw shots at you. This is not to belittle you. This is just to straight give you education so you can be in awareness of what type of energy you are bringing to your grown men, children, and then also your young ones, because guess what? Once you become into awareness, you can change the energy, and you want to make sure that you're producing great fruit because your children are your fruit. So I'm going to start off by this because I said that a lot of women are lacking accountability with their children. This is how these grown men turn into serial cheaters, because they're not being held accountable. And I know, Chrissy, you were sharing some information with me about someone that you dated and how his mom treated him, and she didn't hold him accountable. Would you mind sharing with the audience?
Yes. So there was an incident when I first found out that he was cheating on me, and the woman shared that, I've been to his mom's house, I've been to his family's house, and I'm like, okay, so that I first learned, okay, so his mom is condoning the behavior. So I've later learned, like, she doesn't ask questions. He's able to bring many women into the home. Even though we were living together, he'll go to his mom's house and invite them there. And like, oh, meet me at my mom's house. I'm doing this. So it was like we live together, but let's meet at my mom's house. So it was like women coming there, and even if he introduced on a sense of, because, they're frat zetas, whatever. Oh, this is my zeta sister. As a mother, I'm asking my son, like, you think it's appropriate to have a lot of women in my home and you have a whole partner? Like, I'm not okay with that, regardless if this is your zeta sister or not. This is a very intimate space, and she shouldn't have access to this. But that's not the energy his mom moves in. His mom moves in the energy of she's okay with the behavior, because who's going to stay with her son if he's a compulsive cheater? He's not committed. And her idea is, come back home. Why are you leaving? Why are you going out, moving with these women? Just come back home. And I hear the conversation. I was with him for 4 years. And every time she speaks to him is, come back home. Why you just won't come back home? Why are you out with these women? You can just be here with me. And yes, you can just do whatever you want here and just come back home. And I'm like, he's a grown man. Like, he doesn't need to come back home. And she's like, she used to bring him lunch. I'm his partner. I would get lunch ready, and he's like, oh, my mom already brought me lunch to work. I'm like, so where's my space in your life? Like, and then he has friends, a bunch of women friends. So I told him, if your mom is cooking for you and your girlfriends are available to talk to, what's my position? What am I here for? Where do I fit in you already have women doing the job that your future wife supposedly is supposed to be doing for you. So if you already have women in your life fulfilling these spaces, there is no room for me to even grow in your life. So, but his mom, she would okay this behavior. Oh, he's always had a bunch of female friends. Oh, he's always been around a bunch of women. I'm like, so where is his male figures? He never had male figures. He was withheld. His father died when he was a baby. And his mom never allowed him to be around his brothers because she said they were not going to taint my son with a whole bunch of lies about me. So she withheld her son from being around other men, resources, because she didn't want her son to develop the truth, honestly, about her. But she said, I don't want people telling him lies about me.
Right.
So just watching that for the past 4 years have been it's really sad to see how toxic these moms are to their young men. And we as women, we're curious why their behavior is the way it is. And it's because they have toxic mothers. Right. And then they get in relationship with, like, he loves toxic behaviors. Like, he used to say to me, why you won't put me on the couch? I'm like, what? I'm like, let me tell you something about love. We are conditioned to believe that we got to hit y'all on the nose with a newspaper for y'all to get it together.
Right.
That's not how you build a partnership. You're not my child. You're not a dog. I'm not here to say, oh, you did something bad. Go sleep on the couch. Don't speak to me for weeks. That helps the distance. That doesn't help it. It hurts it. Right. And women, we are conditioned to believe that, girl, he ain't getting none. He ain't doing it. All you're doing is putting him in a space where he like, okay, well, if you won't do it, I'll go to a woman who won't punish me. So I had to explain to him over the years, you're my partner. You're not an animal. And you do know people treat dogs better than they treat humans. So why do you want to be treated as if you don't matter? As if, okay, this is your first time making this mistake. You want me to withhold? You're already cheating. So why would I add fuel to the fire? And you're cheating because you're depressed. So you're depressed and you want me to punish you even more. I was like, do you hear yourself? Punishment is like how you feel like you're going to correct your behavior, but that's not how you correct the behavior, because if it was, you wouldn't be moving how you move, because then your mom beat you as a kid. Did she degrade you? Did she whoop you for every mistake? So how did that work out for you now? You don't have boundaries. You don't speak up for yourself. You're not assertive. You're looking for attention to be validated. I said, so all that whooping didn't validate you. It didn't affirm you. It didn't help you set boundaries. It didn't do any of the things. So guess what? Now you're in relationships looking for us to punish you when that's not my job. Right. You gonna punish yourself enough by being depressed, always in your thoughts, thinking I'm gonna cheat on you because you a cheater. That's enough punishment right there within itself. So it's just listening to these men and how they verbalize, how they think it's okay to be punished. I'm like, that's not normal. It's conditioning. Right. But like you said, it starts with the mothers knowing their mistakes and being willing to be accountable for what they're doing and the pain that they're causing on their men, on their boys. Right. They're not leaders. They're not raising leaders.
Absolutely. And you know, Chrissy, you said a mouthful. You really unpacked a mouthful. But I'm going to go back to when you said the mom was allowing him to bring women over to her house. Now, even though her son is a grown man, her first thing was she should have said, you know what? I don't condone your behavior and you need to take that someplace else. You know what I'm trying to say? But for her to continue to allow it, this is part of the reason why he thought it was okay. And this, even in her speech, I have to say she's treating her son more as that's her man than her son. You saying, come live with me, that's a grown, excuse my French, damn man. He is not your man. So I have to tell mothers, stop treating your son as if your man, because I do know some mothers where the son and her significant other are in competition because of how she treats her son. And listen, you can't do that to a man. That's very degrading. You know what I'm trying to say? You can't put a young boy in the man's space, and there's plenty of mothers doing that. So ladies, I'm saying this to you because you need to be in awareness of what you are doing and how you're setting your son up. Because remember, all these issues that these men have, and we already know women too, it's rooted within the childhood. So what do you want to instill in them in their childhood? Now, for the mothers, you know, who already made this mess, and your sons are grown and they're out of control. Yes, they made a decision because now they're a full-grown man, but you contribute to that. And you can't get mad. But now it's up to him to sit himself down and correct himself. But I want to know, there are some men out there, but I just want to know how many more men are willing to do that. How many more men are willing to say, I'm the problem? Instead of pointing the fingers and saying, well, my mom did this, well, my dad did this. Guess what? That time has passed. When are you going to take control of what's your future destiny? Because if you don't change your behavior, nothing's going to change. And y'all remember this definition? Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's not going to manifest. It's not. But like I said, Chrissy, you said so much within your story. I think that's like the typical story right now of a lot of women. And I also have to say this too to the moms, especially in our community. We have a hard time transitioning from separating our son who was once a boy and now a man, because sometimes as a man, you still speak to him as if he's a child, and he's not. So mothers, please stop doing that. You can't violate his space. And then I remember you, Chrissy, you said about the feeding. Now, you know, your mom making him lunch. It's okay to say, hey, I'm going to use your name. Did Chrissy make you something for lunch? And if he said, oh, no, she didn't get a chance to, then it's like, oh, okay, I got you. It'll be nice to ask. But no, you just run right over into that space. And that's where a lot of moms, and this is another show topic, a lot of moms and a lot of wives bump heads because you're stepping into that role, and that's you, mommy, you not wife. Go get your relationship together with your own man.
Absolutely. It was something I've never seen before. So I was just like, so she just brought you lunch? Like sometimes it was every day, and I'm like, yo, that's not healthy.
Right.
But to him, he's like, well, it's my mom. She's feeding me. And I'm like, for you as a man not to see something wrong with that is a red flag for me as a woman, because I'm not going to marry a man who do not know himself, don't even know the difference between his mother's role as a mother and his wife role as a wife. Right. And you're not giving a woman space to be that when your mom, and like I said, your friends are already fulfilling spaces that your wife is supposed to fulfill. So he'll get sick and she'll go, you want mommy to bring you medicine? Like, this is how she's speaking to him. You want mommy to bring you medicine? And I'm like, we're at home. You can go to the store and get your own medicine. She don't need to drive 30 minutes from her home to bring you medicine and soup. Like you said, it's like she has not transitioned at all. Like even the belittling, the way she makes him feel incompetent. Like she'll turn around and say, I'm not doing this for you. And then turn around and she would do it. I'm not giving you this, and turn around and she would do it. And I'm just like, it's so much inconsistency with and it's still happening. Like, I don't even think of course he doesn't realize that he's being abused still as a grown man, that he's being manipulated as a grown man. But to me, at some age, you have to realize that your behavior is not matching what you're saying. And I tell him this all the time. You know, what you say and what you do is two different things. A man that cannot stand on his word is not a man at all to some women. I said, I don't care if you're rich. It lessens your value as a man when you cannot follow through on your wording. So one of the things that bothers him about my boys, that bothers him, when we were together, he got better, but it used to bother him that my youngest son used to say, Jacob, are you still going to go blah, 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 blah. He's like, why you keep asking me that? He's like, well, it's been 2 or 3 hours and I don't see that you're actually taking steps to do what you said you were going to do. And he used to be like, don't question me. I'm going to do it. I'm like, no, my kids are not like that. My kids are very much so follow through, give me a deadline so I'll know. My kids are not wait until I tell you I'm ready. My kids are very much so give me a time so that I know, so that I'm not bugging you or I'm not thinking about it. But I raised them in that sense, because not giving someone a deadline or an accurate answer shows that you're not structured and you're not sure. So my kids don't like uncertainty when it comes to you as a person saying something to them. So they're very big on that. My daughter, she's 6, same way. She's the same way. And it's like, when you're an adult who don't operate in that energy and you lie a lot, or you say you're going to do something and you drop the ball, when a kid holds you accountable, it rubs you the wrong way. It's like,
Right.
now you being disrespectful. No, I'm not. I'm asking for clarity because I'm confused. Your behavior patterns don't match what you've told me. So I have questions. And I tell him, where there's confusion, there's no clarity. And my kids don't like confusion. They need clarity. I don't care if you're a person that like to drink. Long as my kids know, oh, he just likes to drink. That's just, they don't question it after that. But they have clarity in who you are. When there's confusion, my kids question it. And a lot of people have a hard time being around my children because they are very unbalanced. And it's just, I want my boys to stand on their word. They're boys, and I don't want them telling women something and they're not following through. Like, it's not a good habit to build. So my boys are 10 and 13, and they're very big with following on their word.
I hear that. And I'm happy you are instilling that in them, because guess what? When you were speaking and you was telling me that, it popped in my head, with the old saying, do as I say, not as I do. That's the first thing that popped in my head, because that's the mentality that was instilled. And I have to say this, within our community. So
Yes.
This is why he's looking at them like, well, why they keep saying that? Because you're going off some old mechanism that we was taught. And it's like, no, like you said, it's confusion, and we have to be held accountable, because if not holding ourselves accountable, then we're going to keep repeating the same bad habits. And then you wonder why certain things manifest in your life and you don't like it. And that's because you're just putting whatever out there in the atmosphere, and it's dots are coming at you, and you don't like the dark. You don't like the heat. You don't like the accountability. And that goes the same way for mothers. When if you're trying to have a conversation with your mom and you say, hey, mom, you did this and I didn't like this. And your mom, and I know a lot of moms do this, but she goes, well, I was the one who raised you and I worked 2 these jobs. That is irrelevant. I'm going to tell you, moms, right now, stop doing that, because it's irrelevant to the treatment. What you have done and how you treat people, 2 different things. And I think a lot of women have a hard time separating that. Have you ever experienced that, Chrissy?
Yes, my adopted mom was very much so like that. Do as I say, not as I do. And I was just one of those kids that it never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. And I'm like, well, why you can talk to me in this manner? But if I even say, mom, but that's not what you said. My mom used to be like, so you calling me a liar? Ooh. I mean, that's what it is. I'm like, I used to tell my mom, like, then what else is it called? If you told me something and you went against what you said, and I say, mommy, that's not what you said, and you say, are you calling me a liar? You're literally trying to scare me into changing what I believe just happened. So it creates gaslighting. So I grew up gaslighting myself. I taught myself how to gaslight myself out of things that I wouldn't see things for what they were. I'm like, you just making it up. That's not what's happening. So I don't think parents understood like that. Do as I say is confusion. That don't call me a liar, don't correct me, is causing people, they will cause people to grow up and be in denial about the behavior patterns of another human being. And it's just like my brothers, she babied them. It's, you know what, the pattern with moms with boys, they baby them, they yo-yo them, they throw them out in the world just so they can come right back. So they train them in yo-yo behavior. And it's just like, why you keep doing these things and you end up right back home? Because that's how she's conditioned this boy. Because most women don't have men in their lives. Like my partner, his mom haven't been married since his father died. This man is almost 30. So he is like a replacement for his father to her. And it's just like, this is not your husband. Right. This is your son who needs an identity of his own separate from you as his mother. But it's like, you can't call him a mistake and then get confused on why he doesn't rely on you 100%, maybe sometimes. The behavior patterns just don't align, which causes the men to grow up in the same thing. Their behavior patterns of what they say don't align. Right, absolutely. And you know what? It's a learning experience. I have to say that. So I can't sometimes throw dots at people because they're not in awareness. But once you do become in awareness, you got to keep working on yourself. And it's not going to happen overnight. You have to
say, you know what? Well, let me get better. But here's the thing: what I also noticed too, again in our community, right? And let me tell you this: I love the Lord, and there's nothing against God. But people were like, well, I pray that God does such and such, right? Okay. But what you're not realizing, when you pray, you release it into the atmosphere. God has opened that door for you. Now, what's required is the necessary action. That's the part a lot of people miss. They'll be like, well, I prayed on it. It's like, well, okay, you prayed on it, but did you act on it? What did you do differently today that you didn't do yesterday? You know what I'm trying to say? Did you follow through? Did you drop the ball? And you know what? Sometimes you are going to drop the ball, but you have to say, okay, I can't do that no more. Pick it up and keep going. But a lot of us, we feel like we drop it. And you know what I hear a lot of women is? When they get frustrated and they feel like it's too much work, that's just the way I am. No, it's not. That's the way you choose to be. You choose to be because it's challenging you. And you feel like it's too much to bear. But guess what? Nothing in life is going to change if you keep going back and reiterating, this is who I am, and you just got to accept it. No, it just means you allow fear to intervene. You allowed other people's thoughts on you to intervene. And because they're coddling you. And that's another too. People that within your circle, well, girl, that's just who you are. And you've been that way. Again, you're not even being held accountable. But how can you hold somebody else accountable? No one's telling you about your stuff. And the moment somebody does, you go into defense mode. Because nobody can't tell you nothing. Well, Mom, I'm here to tell you today, y'all guys gotta wake up and do better. I don't care how old you are. And stop putting age as a factor. I don't know about you, Chrissy, but it bothers me when I hear women, oh, I'm 50, I'm 60, and I'm
stuck in my ways.
No. Stop it.
Yeah.
If you're that grown, then you should be evolving at every age, not declining and acting like a toddler and throwing tantrums and cursing and screaming at people. It's not acceptable. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I say that on my TikTok all the time. When your kid fall out in the store because you said no to candy and you beat them. When you go to McDonald's and they don't fix your burger right and you throw it at the cashier, do I have the right to put my hands on you? Can I hit you for throwing a temper tantrum because a meal wasn't made the way you thought it was? But instead of you articulating and understanding, like, okay, I'm a little annoyed, but it's okay. Can you fix this for me? No, they will throw the fries in the burger and try to figure out where their children got the temper tantrums from. And I call those adult temper tantrums. So you can throw an adult temper tantrum, but your child who cannot regulate their emotions because they have to be taught that is being beaten by a parent who can't even regulate their emotions, who throw adult temper tantrums that, well, I could do this because I'm grown and you can't because you're a child. They're not, there's no adults don't respect kids. I see it on my YouTube channel all the time.
Oh, all the
Why
time.
do kids need respect? I'm like, they don't pay bills. Why they need respect? They don't have to go to work. I said, bills, work, and paying, that doesn't validate respect. You can be the richest man in the world and still not have respect.
Absolutely. And I think I said this earlier. There's a big separation between because I gave my life for you. Because that's how we act. We work 2 jobs and we bend backwards and we bought all this stuff for Christmas. And it's like when you come out of line, you don't appreciate me. But again, excuse me, miss, everything that you decided to do has nothing to do with how you treat me. And I don't know why the two can't go. That's separate. It is separate how you talk to me and how you treat me and then what you do for me. But you keep intertwining what you do for me as I have to be grateful because you made a decision to bring me here on this earth. So you had to do what you had to do. And I get it. Maybe you had to work 2 jobs because I'm saying that because a lot of women had to do that. Or you had to sacrifice certain things. You had to sacrifice maybe something you once loved. And that's another thing too. A lot of women don't realize they're carrying what they had to release in order to do what they need to do for their family. So now you're in resentment because you gave up what you once loved. But no one said you had to give it up. No one said you have to throw it away. Why didn't you go back to your dreams? Why didn't you find a way to factor it in? You tried to blame the baby because you didn't have no other thoughts on how you can incorporate the both. And a lot of mothers, what they do, they live their lives around their children. But guess what? One day your children is going to move out your house. What are you going to do then? Most of the time, they're lost. They don't even know what to do once the children leave the home. And that's why you think this. Now things are changing, but before, have you noticed when kids are out the house, a lot of the parents get divorced because all they did was stay for the kids, or all they did was base their whole life around the kids. But now the kids are not in the house, and now they divorce. What you don't realize is your kids saw your trauma, your kids saw your disrespectfulness between one another for all those years, and you should have left umpteen years ago. They saw all of that. So now as an adult, they're carrying what they saw. But you thought
people oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but they thought we're just staying for the kids. That is the most toxic things you can ever do for yourself and your children. Stay for the kids, especially when the environment is not healthy. Staying for the kids does not help. That's that old mentality. We are no longer living in that world. We was taught to just stay. And there's a difference between you and your partner having hard times versus your whole relationship is just toxic. Can you just put the two? Most people can't.
Because people think long-term equals loyalty.
Yes.
I was married for 15 years. Were you married or were you coping? That's two different things. Being married and you're coping with the partner, like, let me just find some coping skills and I'll just deal with it. And actually working in the marriage is two totally different energies, two totally different things. And that's my favorite thing to ask people, like, so you were married for 20 years. What is some things that you've done to keep your relationship alive? And most of the times they go, oh, just accept the person for who they are. Okay, so she coped. That's what I get out of it. As soon as they say you got to accept them and love them for who they are, I could do that, but I don't have to be married to you to do that. I don't have to tolerate the disrespect or being unhappy. Or I tell people, you think being lonely by yourself is bad? Try being lonely with a partner laying next to you every night. That's the most emptiest space you could be in. And a lot of these marriages are that. So these kids look at the coldness in their parents. They don't see their parents kiss. They don't see their parents hug. So that's why they grown. As soon as they see someone kiss in public, get a room. No, this is affection. I'm supposed to show my partner I love them. But if we see it normally often, it will be normal to us. But because we don't see it in our community, we see the bitterness and the coldness and the I don't want to talk to you today or give me my space. That's normal to us when really it's just so unhealthy not to be able to communicate. And I'm feminine. I love touching my partner. I want to sit and touch you and hold your arm. Why do I have to be like, I'm mad at you today, so I don't want? No, I don't like that space. And I tell women all the time, I think we need to share that. I don't like that space to put me in a space where I can't touch my man. Why? Because he made me upset.
Right.
I still love him. I still want to hold his hand. I still want to cling to him. Like that has nothing to do with my feelings for him. But because we, like you say, we move with emotions and we don't want to be honest with ourselves. We literally you have to build that cold wall. We're not born into that. That wall is created. The feminine part of us, the nurturing, that's natural. But we turn it off and we turn on masculine. And we build walls. So now we got to break those walls down.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say two things because you just reminded me of something. Everything what you just said, I'm wrapping up, is weaponizing. We weaponize too much. So when that person made you mad or they didn't do what you want them to do, we cut off the affection. And then ladies, we cut off the sex. I'm going a little bit deeper on that in December, so you guys got to stay tuned. But you need to stop doing that because what happens is it builds up resentment, and that's not healthy. And then sometimes you wonder when you get to a space, well, how did we get here? We got here because both of you are creating these spaces that for the other one to hurt the other one, and all you're doing is hurting each other, and then you get nowhere, but you created this type of energy. And now you're trying to figure out, well, how do we get back to that? And now you got to break down barriers just to have a relationship. But this is why sometimes it is much easier for people to walk away and start over with someone new. We're going to talk about that too, because a lot of people can't understand. I can understand. It does not just happen overnight. They got sick of that.
Absolutely.
It's like, are we in a relationship or are we at war?
Oh my
You know
goodness.
what I'm trying to say? And then I'm going to back it up a little bit, Chrissy, because you said something profound about when we express our stuff with our significant other in front of our children, it creates a space. And I'm going to share a story about my ex-boyfriend, who is an amazing man, but we just decided to part ways because I felt like he wasn't available to give me what I need. And I'm going to share why. Because his mom and his dad had a relationship, you know, old school way, where they didn't necessarily communicate, I love you. They didn't necessarily communicate their feelings, emotions a lot. But one time he said, he asked his mom, he said, how come, you know, you and dad don't say I love you a lot? And she was like, I know your dad loves me. So I don't need for him to always say that to me. I know he loves me. Okay, that's great. She knows that. So she does not need to hear that. But fast forward into our relationship, I was telling him, I want you to open up. I want you to tell me how you feel. He had a hard time doing that. And he will always tell me, well, my mom says, you know, you're supposed to show a person. Yes, you can show a person that you care for them and you rock with them. But why can't you verbalize it? He had a hard time verbalizing. And I'm at a space in my life where I need that. I need you to verbalize those things for me. You already saw that I am not those women that you dated before. And don't put me in those categories because I am something different than what you had. So why would you bring that into that space? A lot of people do that spillover. That's not fair. And it wasn't fair to me. And it took him to after we broke up to understand what I was saying to him. But that's okay. He needed that. He needed to understand that. He needed to go through that process. He needed to see what this type of woman looks like. Some of these men don't. And I think, Chrissy, we had this relationship before. They don't get life spoken into them. Where's their affirmation? Where's them that I thank you? Where's them I love you? Where is that I think you're doing a great job? You are a wonderful man. Where is that for them? They don't
Instead of what
that about for us mothers. We get that. It's always about mommy. But that's why I hear a lot of men say, you know, when Mother's Day come around, it's big. But when Father's Day come around, it's like, and that's not fair. But, you know, that's the society. But I'm just saying, even though society may project that, we can change the tone in our direct family on how we see the men. Men are not just walking wallets because that's what they feel like, because that's what society says. He's a provider. He's a provider, but it doesn't mean that he just provides one way. He can provide a multitude of ways. But society said, you know, is this? And that's not true. So I think a lot of these issues are stemming to what's projected on the TV. What's projected, that all that stuff is false. That's fake. They need to see the realness. They need to see the kindness. They need to see the love because it does exist. I've seen it in other people. There's healthy relationships exist.
Absolutely. And healthy relationships look so abnormal sometimes to us. Not to us, because I'm not in that category anymore, but to some women who are not in a space of awareness. They're like, oh, it must be something wrong, or he must be cheating on you. There's no way he's just this good of a man. All men are this and all men are that. And I'm like, in your world, in my world, I know some dope men. I know some amazing, phenomenal men who got just so much going on for themselves. I even told my friend the other day, I was like, oh, he got a lot going on, but I don't qualify for him right now because he, you know, I got a little bit more work and I'll qualify. We got to be able to tell ourselves as women like, oh, he dope, but I don't qualify for him right now. I got a little bit more work and then I might qualify for that high value of a man. But we be like, listen, we think we're the only prize. And we're not. We degrade men and say, why do men say they are the prize? They are. We can't even produce babies.
Right. They are too. We're the prize and they're the prize. And I just want to kind of piggyback what you said. There are some men that I saw that's in my circle. And I said, before I approach them, I need to get this in area. But you don't hear too many women say that. You always hear, they need to get ready for me. But why are you not getting ready for the man that you want? The man that you already know that has all of that. Because you know why? because fear. Everything stems back to fear of stepping your game up. But you want someone to qualify themselves for you. Why you not qualifying yourself for that man that you know that's dope and all of that in a bag of chips? Because I know I've seen a few, and I'm like, let me get my stuff together because he already know I'm about to shoot my shot.
Very exactly. And it's really amazing. It's more amazing being in this space that I am in now. As for, I've never degraded men. I never adapted that personality. However, I will piggybacking off what you said about affection and like you like being told I love you. Now, take a woman like me. I had a hard time doing that because I was every time I told a man I love him, you lying, you must want something. It was always a, why you just saying that? And then so as I started to depress that part of me and got with my last partner that I had, my ex-partner, and I wouldn't express it. And I would sit him down and say, I have a hard time affirming men because when I would affirm them, they will shut me down. And I'm letting you know, support me in that. And just remind me like, hey, like, or like, I will open up if I see you're vulnerable. But if you are a man that's emotionally detached, we're not gonna do good together. And he was emotionally detached. So that wall never came down for me. It never, and I also told him, you're not a safe space. And that don't mean that it's permanent, but you're not a safe space for me or women if you're gonna cheat and you're gonna lie and you're gonna manipulate. You are not a safe man. And when you as a man don't feel safe to a woman, guess what you're gonna keep doing? You're going to keep these bad behaviors if you don't do anything to fix it and elevate yourself as a man. But you are not a safe space. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about mentally and emotionally. You are a trigger for women. And that's not good. I don't want you to run into the wrong woman and she don't know how to manage her emotions. And now she's going to damage you in the process because there are women out there will damage you the same way more because they think the damage is equal when it's not. Men hearts and their minds ain't as strong as ours. Is very vulnerable. It's like glass. I tell people men mental is like glass. You have to be careful with that because one thing can shatter it and some men don't recover because it's harder for them based off what we've been conditioned. So I told him and he's just like, the way you talk to me, he said, it scares me. Because I just be looking like, oh, she gonna do something. Like there's no way a woman speaks in a space like this. I said, and what's sad is that you think that I'm not coming to you in a very concerning, vulnerable space, not just for you, for me. Because I want you to understand that your behavior is not okay. But I'm not gonna punish you because you're doing that already. But you are not a safe space for me or my children. And I have a daughter who looks up to you. So it's just a behavior that I can't condone. And I'm not saying you're a bad man. You just got work to do. You got to elevate. I said, but you're moving in low value man space, but you can always elevate to a high value man. And I told him, money ain't gonna make you have value. That personality, them behavior patterns, that's what makes you high value. So I like, just long as like repetition, my mentor always say how to, she teaches class on how to treat a black man. She said in repetition, she said, even if you think he's not receiving it, you keep saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it. Even if I think he's annoyed, it's healthy information. So as long as it's healthy and here to serve you, I'll keep saying it. And I'll say it every day. As long as you're in my space or you want to be my friend, I will always speak high value information to you. I will always tell you that you're deserving to be in this space. It's great. It's great over here in this space. Being aware and knowing I ain't ready for that. I'm going to wait and not even waste her time or mine. And I'm just going to wait until I am in a space to date. I am in a space to treat a woman right. I can trust myself as a man to lead my family because we're a team. And if we're not working as a team, we're working against each other.
Absolutely. And I have to piggyback off you and say, I respect men who are transparent. Who are grown enough to say, you know what, she got it going on. I ain't gonna mess up her life. Because you can tell the difference between an immature man and one who's transparent, because that immature man wouldn't even care. He would just come into your space and jack it all up. And that's just a reflection on how he feels about himself. So I tell women, you cannot expect for him to give you what you're looking for when he hasn't even given it to himself.
Absolutely.
He's a hot mess. All that serial cheating, that's rooted in how he feels about himself. He can't even be listen, even if it's your lifestyle that you say, hey, I like multiple women. This is just what I like. By you not giving that woman that conversation, you're taking away her right. Because you're not even including her. You're not even telling her who you are. Allow her to make a decision. You know why you don't allow her to make a decision? Because just like I've been saying since the beginning of the show, everything is rooted in fear. Because that's what we was taught. Oh, you can't tell the woman that you love how you feel or what you do. She's going to walk away. You lied to the ones you don't care about. Who made that stupid rule? Because it's stupid.
Absolutely. It's a false belief. It's a false belief. It's like, I'll tell people the number one book people should read, everybody, is The Four Agreements. Because we lie and we assume. And when you assume, you make up stuff. And I told my partner all the time, like, you're not even giving these women an option to be a side chick because you're not telling them that you're in a relationship. You're just befriending them, flirting with them, and then allowing them, because he would invite them in the space. The women wouldn't just come in. He would open the flooded gates and boom, he'll make the first flirting thing. They're like, oh, he's single. I've seen a few times where the women like, wait, was that your partner you was with? Oh, yeah. And he like shrugged shoulders and she like, well, now I'm gonna back up because I didn't know you had a partner. I knew you were gonna stop messing with me because I was in a relationship. She said, well, duh. Right. She was like, you're in a relationship. She said, why wouldn't I? She was like, and then you didn't tell me. She said, so you have me out here looking like I'm just messing with someone. But I told him, you're putting women in dangerous situations when you do that. You, by not allowing these women to choose the space that you're putting them in, including me, you're causing all of us to be in spaces that we didn't ask to be in. Absolutely. And that shows, as a man, you're not a protector. You're not a protector. You are you're chaotic, and you will, if you cause my own safety, you're risking my safety as a woman, and that's not okay. Being big and strong is not what safety means to a woman. You are causing other women to see me in a whole different light by not giving them permission or giving them a choice, and then having me in spaces where they're all there and I don't know who's who. So now my anxiety is high. So it's a whole bunch of emotions that's not fair between the women and me. And then if I kept condoning that, I am also allowing women to be at risk by knowing that you're a serial cheater, by staying in a space with you. And I can't do that. So that's what we have to be accountable for. You're a serial cheater. So with that being said, I will not be in public with you. That's how it started. I stopped being in public with him. I stopped acknowledging him as my partner, and slowly and gradually I pulled back and pulled back. I didn't just make impulsive a decision because I loved him. We was in a 4-year relationship. That's a long time. But I will tell ladies, don't be so impulsive, because sometimes when you're in that emotion, you're like, it's over. And then when you calm down, you like, but all of this time, I'm just going to throw it away. Don't be impulsive. Just pull back. I pull back. I stopped going to his events. I stopped supporting any birthday. I stopped tagging. I stopped posting. I stopped following. I detached mentally from the relationship first. And then I detached emotionally. But I communicated the process with him. Even though he didn't believe it, because to him, selfish ego. Well, if you really detach, why are you still in my space? But you're not at the level where you even understanding what I'm doing, because you're not ready for that level. But let me communicate it with you. So when you do elevate, you will understand exactly what I did and why I did it. And now you're going to be able to tell, just because a woman stays with you, don't mean she's really with you.
Exactly. Woo! Chrissy, you said a mouthful. And you know what, guys, we're almost running out of time, but I want to share my story because it's just slight similar. when I noticed that when I was in this particular relationship, and I'm talking about the same gentleman that said, where his mom and father don't really say I love you too much, it got to a point, to a space where I said, well, you know what? I love you as a friend, because we were friends first, and I think those are the best relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love you as a friend, so because I love him as a friend and I respect him as a person, I say I don't think we need to be in a relationship, because I kind of looked at it like you did. I saw the whole big picture, and I didn't want to make erratic, decisions and acting crazy like I used to, because I'm like, I'm not that woman. So don't do that here. I'm trying to say this is me speaking to myself. So I verbalized, let's just be friends. And I said to him, I said, this doesn't mean that it has to be the end. Who knows what the future holds? But as far as right now, this is not working for us, because we're at two different spaces. We're at two different spaces. And I left it just like that. And sometimes you got to do that. I didn't abandon you. I said we can still be friends, because we are still friends. That's where the root is at, in the friendship. So, but all of this was great. I really appreciate you, Chrissy, sharing your story. Ladies, I hope this was helpful. If you are that mom, it's okay. But because we brought awareness, now your next goal is to work on you. Fix you. You can't fix nobody else. And that's another thing too. I think so many people are trying to fix others. Remember, I just got to share this with you. When you're on the airplane, right? And before they take off, they always go over with you, in case of emergency, put the oxygen mask on you first. And that's what we have to do first. We have to put the oxygen mask on us first. Then we can help others. Because if you're too busy trying to save others, you're going to hurt and kill yourself. And that's my closing remark.
You won't even be alive to save nobody.
Absolutely.
Exactly. When you
like I said, that's my closing remark on all of this. Chrissy, what's your closing remark?
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And just understand, like, you can't give people what you can't give yourself. So, and people can't give you what they can't give themselves. So you can't give each other what you don't have. So it's high expectations with no work involved. The best relationship you're going to have is the one with yourself. That's the best relationship you're going to have. Those are my closing remarks.
Thank you, Chrissy. I so appreciate this. I really had a great time with you today. Again, ladies, I hope you are receptive to this. A lot of people need to hear this message. So you need to like, you need to comment, and you need to share. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to come back with more good shows. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be dissecting this, because there are a lot of great women out there that need to hear this. They just need to overcome their old habits and their old ways, because guess what? You never know what the evolve you can look like. So, Chrissy, how can the people find you?
You can actually follow me on Facebook at Chrissy Renee, Chrissyrrenee. I prefer that way, so that you can get all the links to my other social media platforms. I do have a YouTube and a TikTok and an Instagram, but we're working on building that community. So you definitely can follow me at my Facebook URL.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you already know you can continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat Podcast, here on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And again, don't be afraid to hit that share and like button. And we will see you again here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. EST. Have a good night, guys.
Lady K.